All right. Donna?
Yes.
Moon phases part 2.
Moon phases part 2.
Take 2.
You know what? The second time's always better.
That's right.
We're good.
That's what they say.
We're good.
We're back. I'm Jess. I own Vintage Vibe Botanicals.
Donna and Earth and Alchemy.
And we filmed this last week.
Oh, together we are.
Yes, together we are.
Twisted Hazel Coven.
Twisted Hazel Coven.
Otherwise known as THC.
Which is the only reason Donna agreed to name it the name that we had.
That is not.
In hindsight, it's all coming to me. Funny story is we tried to film this last week on the full moon, and then we did it, and we did great.
We did.
Just all the technical difficulties.
It was perfect, yeah.
And
then half of it was gone when we looked later.
Half of it, and then it only filmed Donna.
Oh, that's true. Yes. It was the Donna show.
It was the Donna show.
Yes, it was
great.
great.
Then it only filmed half of what we did.
And it had your arm, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't it your arm? Yes, it was your arm that was
and my
there.
nose.
Yeah. I was like, we can't put that shit on there. That's not going to work.
We're back again. Not that you know that, but here we are. So, why don't you start the stopwatch because you know how we are.
Yes, let's do that.
So, we are talking about moon phases this week. It's something that is, a big part of most pagan practices, and a lot of people have questions about it. So we thought this will be a good educational series to go on, is just the basic moon phases and kind of how you can incorporate them into your pagan practice.
Yes.
So
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to start with the new moon usually, right? Is that how we did last time?
Yeah, well, I think I did last time. I just talked a little bit first about like how moon phases have always, like in many, many cultures, have always been like people's lives have been around having your food, growing your food. It's always been a spiritual practice in a lot of different cultures. So like Aztecs, Mayans, even in Christianity, because when we see pictures of Mary, a lot of times she is pictured with the moon. She is pictured, with the moon in the back. Mary is the mother, and which leads us to the feminine qualities of the moon and the moon phases. We have the maiden, the mother, and the crone with our earth-based religions, and then that corresponds to the phases of the moon. So when you have your full moon, your waxing moon, that's your mother. You have your new moon, which is your maiden, and then you have your full moon, and that's your crone. So it's very representative of the triple goddess.
I don't know how much they can definitively know, but I do know from like world religions classes that I took in college that the earliest signs of religion were documented in caveman depictions. So like it would not surprise me
if
not at all. They were already developing a concept of like the potential of an afterlife if they also were in tune with like, oh, the moon goes away and then it comes back.
Yes,
I'm sure cavemen.
And I've read about cultures where they actually had somebody that was within the part of their society that was their job, that was to look out for the new moon. It was to look out for the dark moon, and look out for that. And then they knew that the next day the new moon was coming and they could track the phases. At some point they realized that so many things that I think we had talked last time about too, how it does affects the tides. And if it affects the tides and it affects those kinds of things, it affects us. It affects our behavior, whether you're a child, an adult, and it affects the growing cycles of our plants and things.
If you look at it scientifically, it's scientifically, we know for a fact that it controls the tides, like you said. But our
cannot
body,
be denied.
It cannot be denied, and we also know scientifically that human bodies are predominantly made of water. So if you look at it from a science-minded person and not a woo-woo sort of like whatever, you can see the science behind it. It absolutely makes sense. If it controls the tides, it can control the water within our body.
Yeah. So even if you don't want to believe in earth-based stuff, that's that part cannot be denied.
Talk to any nurse, teacher, person that deals with the public, like whatever, and they will tell you that.
Yep, it's full moon. Everybody's acting batshit fucking crazy. It's a full moon. Yep,
they are nuts.
That's it. Yep.
So okay. I think the two most people know the new moon, which is the dark moon, which is when you can't see it, and then you have the full moon. But there's a bunch in between. There's 8, what they would call regular 8 moon phases.
Yes.
But
you have your waxing crescents, your waning crescents. You have your quarters. You have your first quarter, your last quarter, gibbous, and it kind of goes basically in that order. And then you have your full moon. Your disseminating moon, last quarter, balsamic.
Yeah. Waxing is when you see more of the moon, waning is when you see less. So it goes from, it waxes up, then it goes down.
Waxing is growing, waning is coming down.
Just like, when your mom's like, my patience is waning. That's how you remember it. Okay.
And there's so I think what you were getting ready to say is there's, most people kind of focus on the full moon and the new moon, but there's lots of correspondences, you know, for all the moons in between. And as I always say, don't, you know, necessarily get hung up in what a book you may have read dictates. Yes, there are certain correspondence, and I do I feel like they really do, for me, resonate, and I kind of do stick to that. But if something feels different to you, and something is calling you to do something at a different moon phase, do it.
A lot of the general belief would be that your new moon is kind of like a fresh start. It's a good place to like start developing ideas, like making plans, setting goals. Then you spend like that next phase leading up to the full moon and gathering and collecting supplies or knowledge or materials, like whatever you would need to execute those. And then as you're leading up, then you start really going for it, executing it and accomplishing it. And at the full moon, hopefully you've accomplished a goal, big or small. It can be anything that you want to do. And I find concentrating on one thing. If you try to do too much, you get overwhelmed.
Yes.
And
if you're just starting, start with, if you're just starting to work with the moon phases, definitely start with new moon and full moon. They're the easiest
conceptually to get going on.
Yes.
The quarter moons help kind of give you a point, though, of like, okay, by this point, like, I'd like to accomplish, okay, I've thought of it, I've started gathering, by this point I want to start executing. So I don't know, it helps guide you a bit in your time management, perhaps.
Yeah, and crescents are, like I said, they have a purpose, and I do utilize those a lot. I love a crescent moon.
They're beautiful.
I really do.
They're one of my favorite to look at.
Yes, they are. And they're one of my actually favorites to photograph too.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I love them. Fertility is another thing that's actually moon phases and doing spells and ritual work. Moon phases are great to pair in with fertility if you're looking for that. I ain't looking for that.
I'm not looking for that. I got
my eggs
two,
are shot. I'm done.
One for each hand, one of each. I'm good.
That's right. So when you're doing that, and wealth is another thing. So waxing and full moons are great times to do any kind of rituals, spell work that you want to do as far as fertility and abundance and wealth. Those are great times to do that.
I think it's also important that, like, okay, so you had this goal and you worked for it. As life goes, that doesn't always work out, and that's okay. So like if you get to that full moon and you really tried and it didn't work out, that's okay. Brush stuff off, make a new goal, start again.
And there's probably a reason that it didn't work out.
That's true too.
The universe doesn't always give us what we want, because sometimes the universe and goddess, and God, they know better than us sometimes, and if we don't get things, that's okay.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed the most about working in these moon cycles with goal setting is that I think it gives you that sort of like delayed gratification for something too, which instead of like coming up with an idea impulsively, like trying to push something to happen that may not be ready or properly prepared to happen, it sort of helps you like manage that time, but also like you end up delaying that gratification from completing that goal, so you get to appreciate it more, and maybe it enhances your gratefulness for accomplishing that thing.
And all of this is part of manifestation, and manifestation is incredibly gratifying. When it comes to fruition. So it's great at tracking like manifestation kind of things, and it's great to see those things when it's very satisfying. I think when that happens.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And for me, because I am like a little whimsical and eccentric, it does help. No. Tame me a little bit.
We're fine.
It's like we're fine. We need to talk about this.
We're fine.
I think it helps tame my impulsive, like if I were to be impulsive.
Yes.
Like, and kind of tampers that down a
yes.
little bit on decision making. Not to say that I don't have my impulsive moments, because I am.
We have to. That's right.
I shall not apologize.
Just us. That's it. We ain't no impulsive bitches.
So something I saw in my and John and I each have books that we like, and maybe this is just a quick bit of time to bring in this. When I first started feeling the need to really like figure out what the hell I was, this was one of my first books I picked up. It's called Moon Magic, and it's by Aurora Kane, and you can't not trust it. I mean, her name's Aurora. Come on.
Yeah.
So this one's a great one because it's very simple. It goes through the basic moon phases, herbs that associate with each, crystals. There's a little bit of spell work in it, and it gives you a bit of the background. And it's not one that you read and you're overwhelmed with information.
Right.
And I like that, because when you're first getting into it, like some of these, it's almost like some books are too saturated with information, and then you can't focus, and it feels overwhelming. And then like you're trying to like get a base knowledge, and you immediately are just overstimulated, overwhelmed.
Yes.
So this is a good beginner, Moon Magic.
Is that one like this one? That's one of the. This is much like that book. I think it has a lot of things I like this book too because, and maybe that's the same, you can kind of pick it up and go to whatever. So you don't have to read it all in order. You can, if you are just starting and you want to go to full moon things or new moon things, you can kind of pick different places in the book, and it'll still all make sense. And I like that in a book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's nice. And it's nice to be able to pick it up and put down. I think we were discussing on our first take of this, pink is associated a lot, right?
Yes.
Because it's a very feminine color and energy. And so one of the spells that I found for like the new moon would be lighting a pink candle, letting it burn down, and sort of setting your affirmations and manifestations on things that you want to do during that time. And you had mentioned rose quartz, right?
Yes, rose quartz. I like to do offerings. Anytime I do any kind of moon phase work, any kind of rituals and things like that, I love to do an offering bowl. So it depends on, you know, what I'm doing, what phase it is, and I use whatever calls to me. But yes, a lot of times, because we have, like I said, the feminine qualities of moon phases, and traditionally women are, you know, they're the loving ones. They are, not that men aren't, but you know what I mean? We are the ones that nurture and give, you know, the love and care to our families. So I think that's why we've, you know, come to put the rose petals and the pink stones and things like that in there because of the feminine quality of it. So, and I love doing offering bowls when I do moon stuff. I just love that.
Yeah, it is nice.
And use whatever calls, you know, whatever calls to you, whatever stones, whatever corresponds for you, whatever clicks for you, use that.
Yeah, I mean, you can use these resources as a jumping off place, but they don't always resonate with you, right? So, and that's okay. Like, you can pick it up, try it out. If it doesn't, let it go and find something that you want to do.
Take what what you're getting something out of. Take what resonates with you. Leave the rest. That's what we always say.
I tend to do both the new and the full moon, but on the full moon, we've talked about this in other videos, I would say 90% of the time do a burning release ritual and offer that to the full moon. Write down our things that are dragging us down, or we want to release and let go so that they're not pulling into the next. And then burn it, release it to the earth.
It's very symbolic and very powerful.
Water.
I do. Yeah. I do. Most of my things have water in them, whether it's an offering bowl or a ritual or a spell. I always have water in there. I'm a fire sign, but I don't know. I have a connection to water.
Together. Like,
you do.
It's all symbiotic. It all works together.
Yes, I totally think that. And then moon water. Moon water is, you know, one of our favorite. It's one of the easiest things to do. People always go, "What do you do with that?" If you're doing like herbal sprays and stuff, you can actually do herbal. Sorry, there was an ant on me. An herbal spray.
We're out in nature. Did you just kill something while we're filming?
No. I just flicked him off, and I don't mean like I flicked him off. I mean I flicked him off my foot. He was tickling me. I flicked him off.
Okay, there was an earwig over here a minute ago, and I'm like, I'm trying to get down with nature, but don't touch me.
That's right. You're gonna have to go.
No, some nature I'm not down with.
No, I'm not into killing bugs. But moon water, there's so many things you can do with it. You can do herbal sprays, cleansing sprays, with oils, mixing with oils. You can put crystals in there.
Often each moon will have crystals and flowers and oils that go with each one. So this is May, is the flower moon.
Yes.
So that was last week.
Yes.
When we filmed.
When we originally filmed this episode. Well, we can pretend, right?
Hey.
We're magic anytime, right? Yeah,
I guess.
It's fine. I like cleaning my tools with my altar tools. I like cleaning my altar tools with that.
One thing too with the water, I always use distilled, because then I find, like, if I'm going to keep it all month, that way I don't worry so much about is it going to develop bacteria or things like that. And like when I do my spray, I'll throw in a little rubbing alcohol or like Everclear and witch hazel, like something like that, to try to discourage it from growing.
And with the witch hazel, I use mine pretty fast. But you're making things with yours. I do things with it.
When I do stuff for like the shop or whatever, I have to do it so that
it's going to stay, right? I like using it also for my hair, my face. I love using it for that kind of stuff, and adding the witch hazel or something with it. I love that.
I think one thing that's important that keeps like coming into my brain, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, is that this is also like using the moon cycles is also a tool for manifestation, just like someone would use meditation or something like that.
Yes.
You know, you don't have, like, there's all these different ways that you can manifest goals, and I think it's nice to know that it doesn't have to just, like, if you're not great at meditating, you can use this instead. Or that is a very good point. Yes, because meditation is hard; it takes a long time to learn. But this is something that you can do and do easily. You could decide tomorrow I want to start paying attention to this.
Yes. And I think long term it could help you with meditation because you're also, I mean, and the best, I've got to be barefoot when I'm doing like a moon ritual or something, and that always in itself helps you to be more grounded. And helps you with meditation and stuff.
I know you don't have an iPhone, but a lot of the Apple devices have like moon
phase app or something.
Yeah, and you can use those so that
Android
you can start like if you want to really get into it and you need a little boost and help in the background, there are apps that help promote that too.
Yeah,
so.
and they all have they have
this is
some different
2024,
things.
so you can be the modern witch, right?
Right, that's right. I always I have my moon phase calendar.
Yep.
You gave me one a long time ago, and every year I order one from her, and I love it.
artwork
It's in the
is beautiful.
kitchen. Even Dan's like always like, oh, it's in the kitchen.
Jess Wymuth.
Yes, I couldn't remember her name.
WEYMOUTH. She has an Etsy shop and she does watercolor art, and it's all like lunar, and it is beautiful watercolor art. And I used to sell her stuff in my shop, and I would open up that calendar has
just become part of our kitchen.
I love it.
And you can also, we both have saved the and then frame them, because they're so beautiful.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend her stuff and her moon calendar. It's just beautiful the way it's laid out.
Yeah,
so.
I love it.
Yeah. I was thinking about herbs and stuff. If you wanted to start incorporating herbs that correlate, you can do those by burning them, diffusing them as oils, or consuming through teas or cooking. And because I'm a green kitchen witch, that makes a lot of sense for me, is to like incorporate. And a lot of times you'll find that those herbs are intuitively what's in season for right now.
Yes, definitely.
It makes sense for those to be the herbs that signify that moon, because you're going to be able to source them easily.
Yes, and there is something to be said for, in the planting, in the almanacs and things, the farmers used to always plant by certain moons and things. So that all just kind of goes hand in hand with the cycles of everything. I mean, you could just you can draw the connections out of that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of it is, I think the idea gets too big and people get like overwhelmed by the idea of it, but it really just comes back to basic nature rhythms.
Yeah.
And like what are we looking at right now? What is blooming right now? What are we harvesting? And a lot of that just comes back to
living in the moment and living by the moment, living in food. Just why what's in season. Eating, a lot of people just eat in season. So I think that's all of that just ties together. I love how it all just clicks together like puzzle pieces.
We did not mention that this is a 28-day cycle, which is really nice because if you're whimsical or you're logical, 28 days, 4 weeks, it's neat and tidy. You can, it's great.
And what else is a 28-day cycle?
Your period.
Yes, menstruation, yes. Yeah, so that's also like the whole thing with feminine, and there's 13 moons, and there is something with the 13 cycles for women or something. I forget what that is, but it all kind of ties in with that, and it just all, how can we not embrace a goddess religion when we have all of this with moon phases?
I tend to cycle with the full moon, which I can't wait till my daughter's older and she starts.
And you can do it together.
Crazy and wild here, and my husband's like,
Grayson and Chris will leave. That's right. They're gonna leave. That's right.
Yeah.
He doesn't smoke.
No, he does not. But yeah,
he'll go out and get a pack of cigarettes and never come back.
Yeah, what are the kids now? They call it getting the milk.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
Getting the milk?
Yeah, our son's always like, oh, so-and-so, where'd you get the milk? That's what But yeah, no, that'll be it. When we're all we're all sinking together at the full moon. Anyway, next. I think I covered pretty much what I had on my little list.
Yeah, I have two more things. The dark moon, as I always, it's a great time for what I say is destructive.
Deconstructive, though.
Or destructive, because you're destroying something.
But not in a negative way.
Not in a negative way. So when I say destructive magic, I don't mean like you're aiming it at somebody, because we don't do that. It's when I'm talking about, so deconstructing or tearing down something that I don't like within myself anymore, something that's not serving me
anymore. It's almost
like
taking it back to the ground.
Yes,
and
exactly. And starting over again. Yes. Charm bags, black salt, any of those things, like your sprays, any of those things are so awesome to get out there and create them under the full moon. I love doing things like that. I just feel you can actually feel the power in it. Yeah. I really do feel like you can do that.
Yeah.
So any of those things, I like to do my salts by that. Sometimes I'll mix the batch up earlier in the day and then just set it outside under the full moon. Getting your crystals out, so you can actually clear, charge, I tend to do more sun stuff to charge mine, but you can program too. And I like to program like at the new moon. If you have certain crystals that you plan to work with for the month, you have certain goals that you want to work with. When you've set your goals and you can program your crystals to kind of go along with that, keep them with you throughout the day or whatever. And it's another tool, and it just kind of makes it resonate more with you, and it gives your work more power and more energy.
I literally have cookie sheets that I go around my house.
I have trays that I buy specifically just for that.
I just go around, and then my husband's like, "Oh,
you need charging, and
yep.
you need charging, and
Like,
you don't. You feel icky, so you're going outside."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You've
put them
got
out
too
in
much.
trays. And I do put out. Did I ever tell you?
You do put out, huh?
I mean, sometimes, but you know. So I'll put out a jug of distilled water on the front, like when I need to make a batch for the shop.
Right.
So Chris recently, went and he was like, "God damn it, she left this trash on the sidewalk," and he kicked it. Well, it was full.
Oh my God.
So he stubbed his toe, and I was like, "You idiot."
Oh, I thought you were going to say he completely spilled it. Well, hey, that served him
No,
right. You don't do shit like that.
Also, did you just kick negative
Yeah,
energy?
seriously.
You just
What are you doing?
And then kicked my moon water. Get out of here.
That's some bad mojo right there, Mr. Ginger Man.
Yeah, such a redhead.
Yeah.
He's...
Drawing down the moon. Did you have anything else?
No, but this one's a good one. So.
Yes, drawing down the moon is one of my favorite things. You can do this by yourself, and for the last, I don't know, 20 years, I've done it by myself when I need to. But with a bunch of women, it is like one of the most incredible, energetic, healing things that you could possibly do. It is amazing when you get a bunch of women together who can set aside any differences and who have a like mind. You don't have to have exactly the same beliefs, but an earth base would be nice. And I think anybody that's going to attend something like that is going to already have that.
Or
but
at
it
least
is
be curious about it.
Yes, and I don't always cast a circle. A lot of times I do, but with this, it's with a drawing down the moon. You are actually invoking the goddess, and you're doing it with a group of women, and there's no denying the energy and the power in that, and it's an incredible experience to have everybody just barefoot invoking the goddess. Everybody can participate in casting the circle, and you're drawing down her energy, and you're pulling her energy into you to help you with your everyday stuff, to help you with your manifestations, to just help ground you. And it's an incredible experience. So if you ever get a chance to do something like that, and I think we were talking about, we need to do that. We need to actually set up a thing with everybody and just do a drawing down ceremony.
Yeah, and we used to have an active moon circle of women, and that sort of fizzled at some point. And we've talked a lot about getting something back up and going again. And also, our next video is going to be on how do you start a moon circle, formal, informal, whatever. But the nice thing about having a woman-based group like that is oftentimes our society and culture pits women against each other in a very competitive and negative way.
Yes.
And when you're in an environment like that, it is a way that all women, you're all equal. It doesn't matter whose job is what, how much money you make, who's got the better house, the more kids, the less, whatever.
The whole thing.
Everybody is on an even playing ground. It's a very positive experience, and
And our moon circle, everybody was. I really feel like we were all very, very different.
Oh,
very different. I mean, but we all loved each other. It was a great time.
Purpose,
it was just, I don't know, it was one of the most special times of the month that we would get together like that and do things. And we all felt very safe there and discussed a lot of things, spiritual things that we would probably not throw out to just anybody.
Just random people.
And it was very supportive but very different. We were a big, very different group of women.
Oh, I would say we were all very different from each other.
Yeah.
But it worked out really well, and it's a way for women to connect in a very positive way. So that's definitely, I'm excited to talk about next week's topic too, because that'll be fun.
I think that'll be fun.
So,
I think that'll definitely be fun.
Yeah, I think it's all good.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just a manifestation tool. It's another one of those.
Yes,
really
exactly. But very, very focused on feminine energy, and there's a huge power.
And again, I think it's important that we say this isn't we're not excluding men from the practice, but it does tend to be a more female-oriented practice. And because the moon is considered a feminine energy, the moon, working with the moon does tend to be more of a but not exclusive.
But you can, and like I said, I mean, when I was with a coven ages and ages ago, it was all women. We didn't have any men, but we didn't like actively set out to like
exclude men.
Exclude men. It just happened to be all women.
And Chris, my husband, does our full moon ritual with me most months. So like he'll participate in his own way.
Yeah.
You know?
And
so.
Danny's done them with me. So yeah, it's fine. It's totally
I don't even
fine.
force him or make him or whatever. He just mostly does it on his own.
They just know that life would be much easier with us if they just play along. So, kidding.
True.
No, they are very supportive. I think they are very supportive.
So, all right. Well, stay tuned for next week, right?
That's right. Unless we have to do a take 3.
It's not gonna happen.
We'll find out here in a couple minutes.
Yeah.